this actually works. Testing, testing. Alright, you guys. Looks like it's working. Nice. Alright, let me see if I can get the, I got the Instagram chat up here now. Nice. Looks like that works. Alright, you guys. Let's check out what's going on in the news this morning.
This is a hospital in China where AI systems and robotics run all of the work not necessary to doctors and nurses. What they realized was the doctors and nurses were spending too much time getting medication, filling orders, inputting information, running samples around. Whereas in this hospital, they tried something a little different. As soon as a patient needs something, AI systems begin sending those requests and filling those needs automatically. Even preparing theatres for surgery, sending blood tests and samples, running tests, assessing results, sending automated assessments to doctors who can view the information, giving more information to doctors and nurses that's required. And the result is that staff spend more time with their patients and wait times are cut down by like 90%. A hospital fully integrated with robotics and AI, increasing the speed of healthcare. Is this what the future of healthcare really looks like? What would you trust more, a human or an AI system filling your prescription?
Kind of interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's a funny thing about the AI is that everyone kind of assumes that it's all bad, or the people who are like really into it assume it's all good, which is wild too. I can't I can't imagine believing that. I can't imagine putting that kind of faith in like the tech overlords or this bullshit that they've created, like the large language models. But also, I feel like people are not understanding like the tech bubble is not going to burst the way people seem to think it's going to. Like everybody's talking about the AI bubble bursting and then acting like there won't be AI. It's like if you were around for the other one 25 years ago, the original .com bubble, you would remember that when that bubble popped, some companies stuck around. They were the winners. They were the Googles and the Amazons and the Yahoos and whatever. And then the rest of the ones fell away. A bunch went out of business. A lot of people lost their shirts, but a few lucky people who picked the right ones, who gambled correctly, made a bunch of money. And I don't mean like, I guess some people made fortunes, but like people who made huge fortunes started out with small fortunes. That's the old saying. How do you make a fortune in the stock market? Start out with a small fortune. So when this bubble finally pops, it's not going to get rid of AI entirely. It's going to leave the few largest ones that I guess will control the market, and then it will continue to be a huge part of your life, just like the internet is a huge part of your life, even after the .com bubble burst 25 years ago. The internet did not go away. Sorry for how I sound today, you guys. The other stream I did the day before yesterday, I was like, it's funny, like I did a stream for an hour and I started off sounding fine, and then by the end of the stream, I obviously had a cold. And then I've been that way since, so. Let's see what's going on with
I hate my fucking boss and I hate my fucking job. I hate my dumb ex-wife and her stupid boyfriend.
This is so dumb.
I hate all
There's like a lot of funny shit on Twitter. There's also a lot of dumb shit. This is like the skeleton of a plane as if it has like organs. Kind of silly. Oh my god, this fucking ongoing debate that is so dumb about China and Russia vetoing this UN thing. It's like, it doesn't fucking matter. And if you're just using this as a reason to finally now hate on China and Russia when you were before defending them, it's like, well, you were always going to do that at some point. There was always going to be some kind of thing that you decided was your sticking point, and you're now going to turn into one of those anti-China and Russia people. Whatever. It does not matter. See, I agree with this person. Western leftists absolving themselves for their culpability in genocide by throwing the global south under. Classic. Yeah, that's exactly what is happening here. People are like, it's really disappointing. Like the amount of people I'm following, like this Hez Bolsonaro guy who has like the wrong take on it. He's like, what does it fucking matter if people here care or not, or support or not Russia or China? Like, and it also doesn't matter what Russia and China did. Like, it literally was not going to change anything either way, other than it was going to put China and Russia into some kind of position where they would have had to back something up that they vetoed, like possibly militarily, or would have created unnecessary conflict without ending the genocide, without doing anything in particular to end it. This must be like a mouse page. So this is from, let's see, Cohen is a ghost. The average person is now credulous on a level not seen since the Middle Ages. In 10 years, we will have people believing the sun goes down at night because it's tired. That's funny. They say I came across this guy on TikTok who was the only human working for an entirely AI company, and his AI coworker reported him to his AI HR department for calling his AI coworkers clankers. This doesn't sound real.
Against Ava.
Let's see.
I'm not looking for a pity party, but context matters. As a member of the marginalized group, when I use it, I'm reclaiming it. In contrast, you weaponize the word against Ava in Slack.
Yeah,
look,
that sounds fake.
I'm not here to shame.
This sounds like somebody wrote a quick little sketch for like an AI company. Good use of the the oppressor using the victimizer language, though. Some of the worst things that ever happened are because capitalists learned the Marxist language, like the language of oppression, politics, and everything. Let's see what Dersh has to say.
She focused on a woman named Farmer. Now, Farmer accused lots of people. All of them were Jewish. She said, quote, I have a hard time with Jewish people. All the Jewish people I met are pedophiles who run the world economy. She talks about the Rothschilds. She is a blatant anti-Semite and a liar. She said she didn't accuse me, but she said she saw me in Jeffrey Epstein's house before I ever met Jeffrey Epstein. She clearly, provably lied about me. And so what we have, because she focused on a woman named Farmer. Now, Farmer accused...
So the caption for this post says, Epstein's close friend, associate, and lawyer who argued to lower the age of consent, Alan Dershowitz, smears the first Epstein victim as an anti-Semite, quote, for daring to reveal she was raped and trafficked by, quote, Jewish people. Imagine making yourself the victim. Yeah, wild. Oof. So apparently, France must be ready to, quote, lose children to deter Russia. France's defense chief, Mandon, he says, while all the U.S. and Russia scramble to put a deal together to end the Ukraine proxy war, and the rest of the world awaits the end of hostilities, European nations, completely irrelevant economically in the multipolar world, and strategically reduced to nothing but vassals on leashes, continue to speak of imminent war with Russia because it's their only way to stay relevant. They continue to peddle panic propaganda to instill fear in their populations, as if Russia is about to invade France to justify cutting the welfare state to build a pointless warfare state so more money can be funneled to arms companies. Given the fact that all of these governments have absolutely abysmal approval ratings, most of their own populations don't believe a word they say, apart from the hypocritical and out-of-touch political establishments of their own countries. None of these political and military leaders would sacrifice their own children in a war against Russia. They would send the children of the poor families to die as cannon fodder. Yeah, I mean, I don't see a single flaw with any of this. This is exactly how it's going down. There's like a minute-long video of this guy who's going to be speaking French, and then I'll have to read his subtitles, but you get the idea from the caption. Okay. Trump today, quote, middle-income people, they don't really know about deductions. We're giving them a deduction on the interest if they buy a nice Tesla car. You're so lucky I'm with you, Elon. Has he ever thanked me properly? Although I do let them, Americans, buy other than EVs. For context, Trump and his big beautiful bill that passed a few months ago includes tax deductions for American-made vehicle purchases. Taxpayers can deduct up to $10,000 in interest on personal vehicle loans. This is a temporary tax benefit designed to make vehicle financing more affordable. This applies to all automakers. It does not give Tesla any special advantage over others.
Middle-income people, they don't know about that. They don't really have deductions. We're giving them a deduction on the interest if they buy a nice Tesla car and they borrow the money. You're so lucky I'm with you, Elon. I'll tell you, you are. Has he ever thanked me?
He's so rambling. Like, he can't stay on a thought for a couple seconds. And this is all in the wake of the fucking 15-year auto loans when a car only lasts like 10 to 12 years maximum. Speaking of which, my 2010 Toyota Corolla is still going strong. 160,000 plus miles on it. Not a problem. In the big 2025.
Properly. Although I do let them buy other than electric cars, but these are minor details. You know, we had a mandate which even Elon thought was ridiculous, that everybody has to have an electric car by 2030. And once, fortunately, he said, that's a ridiculous thing. So I keep quoting, but I'm giving them a deduction. Now, Elon would like to have it differently. A deduction only if you buy a Tesla, right? But we'll let it be for everybody. But think of it.
I love how he calls it a Tesla.
You get a deduction on the loan, on your interest payment. I think that's going to be an unbelievable boon to car sales. I think it's one of the biggest things, and we'll see, but I think it's going to be. And the biggest thing I've done for business and jobs is deductibility, where all of that money that you're spending, 100%, think of it, expensing for all new equipment.
Oh my God. It's like Nothing Burger after Nothing Burger. Russian robot built by Spare greets Putin. He's probably going to be speaking Hebrew, I would assume. Yeah. Just look at these people. I mean, the quote is, every time you came back from demolitions in Gaza, you'd say another 200 Arabs won't return to Gaza, another 500, another 1,000. You were proud of what you did. Yeah, rest in peace, exactly. This is Cam Higbee, one of the Dearborn agitators, having a nervous breakdown on Fox News. Who are these people? What are they about?
All intentional. It's Hamas's plan. The problem is that their plan is essentially to spread this propaganda throughout the internet by using...
Oh, he's a PragerU producer. Okay. So Dearborn Agitators is some kind of right-wing PragerU related group? Yikes. But the Chiron here, this is from Fox News, this clip. It says pro-Palestine content dominates TikTok. It's like, in what world is that the case? Like, there's a lot on there, less so since, like, the Zionist company run by fucking, who is it, Ellison and Barry Weiss took it over. Like, TikTok has not been, like, a really good space of news for a while. It's been increasingly taken over with the recent buys by the U.S. companies, but I guess it was one of the things. It's weird, because, like, it was always Instagram and Twitter for me, but I guess a lot of people got awakened to the genocide by TikTok. So anyway, let's hear him again. He's flipping out.
All intentional. It's Hamas's plan. The problem is that their plan is essentially to spread this propaganda throughout the internet by using... Sorry, guys.
All right, let's go to RA's. Cam, get yourself together there, my friend.
The launching of missiles from densely populated urban areas like the Gaza Strip, it essentially, they want people to see what is happening. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Ari, I want to get to this politically.
Why is he breaking down so much? Like, holy shit. He just can't handle being on the TV, I think. President Trump has now labeled Susie Wiles to be the most powerful woman in the world, saying she could wipe out any country with just one phone call. Who the fuck is this? Am I following this person? I'm not. So this is a recommended Twitter post. Let's see. He adds that he isn't even sure he could wield that kind of power himself, but he's confident she can. Trump says he's never going to be satisfied. She's never going to be satisfied with just doing a good job. Who the hell is this lady?
Susie Wiles, she had a father, Pat Summerall, the great announcer. Football. He was a great football player, became an even greater, the voice of the NFL, and he was supposed to be a tough cookie, and I believe it 100%. Most powerful woman in the world. She can take out a country, take out a country with one phone call. That's power. I don't know if I could do that, but she could. Thank you, Susie. Do you feel good about the job you're doing? Huh? She's never going to be satisfied. Susie Wiles, she had a father, Pat.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that's about. Somebody look up what Susie Wiles' role in the government is. Did I just, like, read it and miss it? Like, yeah, I've never heard of this lady. Lenin predicted exactly this. He understood from the start that without an international revolution, the USSR would degenerate back into capitalism. Yeah, it's the Gorbachev commercial. I'm sure everybody's familiar. It's like the Gorbachev Pizza Hut commercial. Yeah, I don't love the things that, like, it does suggest me right-wing people. And some of them are like Democrats, but still, they are right-wing people. This is a Maricultus with like a glowing red eye Gavin Newsom profile picture, so it's like a shit lib. This is a neoliberal. And they're like happy that Ben Shapiro was freaking out over Nick Fuentes. Like, I guess they're just happy about the right-wing infighting or whatever. That's cool, I guess, but it's still not boding well for you guys in the U.S. on the left. Like, things are not going to be good if you guys don't build some kind of vanguard, so I wouldn't count on Gavin Newsom becoming president to help things. I'll just put it that way. A Labour minister has suggested children born in Britain to immigrant parents could be deported as part of the government's asylum reforms. Yeah, why not? Epstein had close ties to our own intelligence agency and Israel's intelligence agencies, Republican Rep. Thomas Massie. Yeah, I saw a meme earlier. It was like how I think it was from Red Note, actually. And it was like how the deep state or the intelligence agencies or whoever used to stop the left. And it was like COINTELPRO, CIA shit. And it's like how they stopped the left now. And it was just pictures of AOC, Zoran Mamdani, Graham Plattner. I thought it was Graham Plattner. It might actually be Thomas Massie. I don't know. They look pretty similar. Data center the size of what? Zuckerberg is building a data center in Louisiana the size of Manhattan. While Meta runs ads about how small towns love their data centers, we found furious locals who plan to leave town completely. Yeah, let's see if they actually do that. I don't think Americans really will do that much. Like, for the most part, they're all talk about whatever they say they're going to do, like leaving. They don't even move to other states when they get the politicians they don't want, let alone other countries. To be fair, it's very, very difficult as someone who's in the process of trying to do that now. It takes longer than you would like, and it's expensive, and it's difficult. But, yeah. I just don't think most people are serious about that when they say it. Let's follow up on this in like a year or so. Let's see.
I grew up here, and I wanted my kids to be able to do the same. And we welcomed Meta, which opened a data center in our town.
We were behind an 18-wheeler once, and it backed up, and we almost got killed. My yaya had to go mouth those people out. She'll say, Meta's stupid. She just doesn't like it, and I don't like it. We've been there for since I was alive, and Papa was alive, so I don't really like that we're gonna have to move.
We went to Holly Ridge, Louisiana, where Meta's new Manhattan-sized data center is being built. Meta's new ads claim these communities welcome data centers, but residents painted a very different picture.
We had no voting on it, no community meetings, no nothing. It was done all under the table, and when it was said and done, there was nothing nobody could do.
You're planning to leave?
I've been here 81 years. I can't stay here with nobody I can talk to. My mom has been out here all her life, 82 years. She's really not happy about it, but does want to leave too.
Do you think they care about the people that live here?
No, I sure don't.
Residents emphasize the increased traffic violence from Meta's trucks. I dug through police reports and found a 600% increase in vehicle crashes on the roads surrounding Meta's construction site in the last 9 months.
The playground at the front of the school, they're not letting y'all play on that, right?
No. Meta trucks don't watch out. If they try to stop, they will they wrecked into the gate, and that's why they're saying we shouldn't go out there and all that, because there's too many wrecks and Meta trucks, and they could crash. I really love that playground.
Do you wish you could play there?
Yes.
Residents also shared their distrust in the quality of their water and the lack of support from elected officials to address it.
My neighbor was washing my clothes and messed up a whole load of whites because it come out stained from that brown water.
Do you feel like it's safe to drink?
No, I buy water.
Have you heard anything about them addressing that? Are they?
No.
Have you gotten any information about the project at all from anybody?
None at all, except on the internet and on my Facebook.
How does this change what it's like to live here?
Oh, just totally different. I mean, who wants to live like this? You know?
Yep, wild stuff. But don't worry, if you elect Zoran Mamdani or some other Democrat, they'll fix it or something, right? Just go protest peacefully. Let's see. A month-old video has resurfaced showing Ukrainian MP Fedenko from Zelensky's Servant of the People party Openly filming inside what Ukrainian journalists say is the Orion radio plant in Ternopil, or what might be an exhibition showing off military equipment. The same defense facility that was hit yesterday. In the footage, Fedyenko clearly identifies the location and displays military communications equipment produced there. Quote, "We are at the Ternopil Orion plant. This is the most reliable TAPIC, it's T-A-P-I-K, I don't know what that word is, TAPIC communication system. For anyone interested, they're made in Ternopil." The video has since been deleted. Ukrainian journalists point out that Fedyenko effectively exposed a functioning military-industrial site, providing all the details needed to geolocate it. Whether he was actually at the plant or just at an exhibition booth doesn't really matter. Ukrainian media claimed yesterday that the quote, Orion plant was non-operational, yet he clearly showed their products. Another foreign language video. I'm not going to play the audio. Again, people freaking out. Here's another person I follow, Hassan or Flacco's Palace, saying China meat riders explaining why they have to normalize relations with Israel or they can't achieve communism by 2099. Again, Western leftists criticizing China without doing anything to like influence their own government, build a similar communist party, have any kind of state or militant power whatsoever. Yeah, just keep being the armchair left comms. I love that. There's no way I'm following this Thomas Sowell guy. Yeah. What the fuck? What? Thomas Sowell quotes? Go fuck yourself. Activists were brutally assaulted after calling out Van Jones for making jokes about dead Gazan babies. The more you watch, the wilder it gets. This is a 2 minute 45 second video. And I feel like this is mostly going to be visual. It's not going to convey well over audio or whatever. I do plan on like publishing the audio of these at some point, so that's why I'm taking so much time to read captions and explain everything. Is that Davidson Boswell?
Media
Yeah, it is.
and a shill for the Israeli government.
Oh, so Davidson Boswell got
Dead Gazan babies.
If you are a young person, you open up your phone and all you see
Why
is
can't-
dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby.
Okay, I can't pause the video anymore. That's cool. I have to mute it. But yeah, it looks like Davidson Boswell went over there in his nice suit and tie. Get that bag, bro. That's pretty funny. So, Leoidal LaRouche on Twitter, he writes a little sketch. Vinyl scratch. You're now listening to Car Crash Sound 148.8. I'm a Adolf Hitler. Real Aryan FM. Explosion. Where we play nothing but Nazi Waffencore music. Glass shattering, police siren. This ain't your granny's station. This starts playing, and it's the Shannon Blake song.
Ready to fight any chance that they have. I burn the stage to cut ties and say my goodbyes to anybody.
Oh my god, this lady is so cringe. Why Chinese people don't use microwaves? This is news to me. Let's hear it.
Newsflash. Nobody in China uses microwaves. And the reason has nothing to do with nutrition. It's all about energy. Here's what I mean. A microwave doesn't gently heat your food. It hits it with electromagnetic waves that make the water molecules vibrate violently fast. In traditional Chinese medicine, that's considered chaotic, violent energy. So even if the food looks the same, its qi or life force becomes scattered and depleted. It fills you up, sure, but it doesn't nourish you the same way. And here's the ironic part. We're told not to stand in front of a running microwave because the energy is not good for us. So why would we subject our food, the thing that becomes your qi, your blood, your entire body, to the same energy? Because in TCM, food isn't just fuel. It has an energetic nature, warming, cooling, moistening, drying. And the way you cook it changes that nature. Gentle heat transforms food.
That's kind of funny. I don't use microwaves often, but I have an aunt who's kind of like a, we call him like one of those naturopath, like hippie kind of people. And she won't use a microwave either. Doesn't own one. Just heats everything up on the stove or whatever. Making tea, like heating up water in a microwave, that's wild. I can't imagine doing that. Get a fucking electric kettle. One of the only good things Reddit ever suggested to me in like the time I spent on there, like however many years I spent scrolling that fucking site, was to get an electric kettle. I love those things. Marcus Strainer says, treat Lorites down. Yeah. I made that one the other day. I took the officer down meme with the happy star and I put treat the rights down. I'm getting a lot of use out of that one. While Washington and London were pushing against a couple dozen German divisions at best, the Red Army was grinding through 150 to 200. That is the math no one likes to talk about. Here comes the best part. Nearly 90% of the entire German war machine fought one country. The USSR carried the war on its back while the Western powers claimed the spotlight. Tell me again who actually broke the Wehrmacht. Yeah. I don't know if this guy's going to speak English or Willis here.
About most of the war, the Americans and the British were confronting 10 German divisions between us, while the Soviets were confronting more than 200 German divisions by themselves. About most of the war, the Americans and...
Yeah. Obviously, the Soviets were the real heroes of World War II. They were the real anti-fascists. Putin's cold reply to Kazakhstan's president, who said, quote, having nuclear weapons in today's world is not a guarantee of security and especially economic prosperity. Does he mean especially? Putin, Saddam Hussein thought so too. That's hilarious. Let's see. Having nuclear weapons in today's world is not a guarantee of security, and especially economic prosperity. Sometimes it is better not to have nuclear weapons, but instead to attract more investment into your economy, to maintain and develop good relations, and build friendly ties with all the states of the world. That is what Kazakhstan does in practice, or does that what he said in practice? Yeah. And then Putin said, Saddam Hussein thought the same way. He said it fast too. He gave the guy like no time. They play the Chad music for him. That's funny. It is very funny, like all the Chad Putin memes. This is how you know AI has a bubble. Nobody even knows what the hell is going on. Elon is like, we're building 500 megawatts, gigawatts. I don't know, man. Who cares? It's going to cost $8 bazillion trillion. Jensen starts sweating and says, stop that. And they rush in. It's just made up monopoly money and random announcements. Elon can't even hide his amusement.
Workforce and productivity. But we have some great announcements to talk about here today. Let's begin with you, Elon, the things that we're doing with XAI.
Yeah, we're excited to announce that we're doing a 500 megawatt. I mean, yeah, 500. Sorry.
500 megawatt.
500 megawatt. Yeah.
We're doing 500 megawatts.
Sorry,
Not
this.
quite,
yeah. No, it's 500 gigawatt one. We'll have to wait.
What an awful laugh. What a terrible, terrible laugh.
That'll be $8 bazillion trillion.
Stop that.
So yeah, we're doing XAI, and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia are doing a
Humane, 500 megawatts, starting with 50 megawatts phase one, and we're doing it with NVIDIA.
Yeah.
Congratulations to the Humane team, to Targ and team, such a fantastic job. Jensen, I think we're also doing some great announcements this week.
We are.
Yeah.
we're announcing all kinds of things.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, the caption said everything I could possibly say about that. He can't even hide it. Let's see. Oh no. There's no way this is going to be something good. From Germanic Friend. It's like one of those Pepe accounts. And it says, wait till you get to the 24-second mark. And it's like, new Freemason Lodge in the southern Brazilian city of Curitiba. So let me guess, there's going to be we call it like a Star of David. The source of the video is Red Pill Bot, so yeah, you can see where this is going to go. Oh yeah, so there's like a menorah underneath the Masonic symbol. I don't know if you guys realize Masons are religious. They just demand that you believe in some kind of higher power. They don't ask which one. They don't care if you're a Jew, Christian, Muslim, or whatever, supposedly. It all does seem like a white boys club, but I don't know why people are surprised that like Masons are religious. Like, they recognize it is a good tool for controlling large amounts of people. A doctor from inside the ICU, every machine had a bullet hole, screens shattered, life support devices deliberately disabled, and then he said the line that exposes everything. You can't turn a dialysis machine into a weapon, so why shoot it? The truth is clearer than any investigation. So it's just a video of Israelis Israel deliberately targets hospital equipment by shooting dialysis and ultrasound machines. What threat do these machines pose? Yeah. And the video was like a dude literally just bashing the screen of one of these machines with his rifle butt. A 14-year-old's response to Megyn Kelly's Epstein comments just shook the internet. A 14-year-old girl named Eloise just uploaded a video that's blowing up across social media and has triggered one of the biggest debates of the week. She says she wasn't even planning to speak because this is an adult topic, but after hearing Megyn Kelly describe Epstein's victims as, quote, the barely legal type at like 15, she decided someone her age needed to say something, and she doesn't hold back. Quote, kids in my grade are turning 15 right now. Some of us still have baby faces. Some of us still have braces. Some of us still call our parents when we're scared at night. Some of us still look like middle schoolers, because we basically are. Here, I'll let her just, I'll just play this. Let's see.
Hey, Megyn Kelly. I'm Eloise, and I'm 14 years old. I wasn't even going to say anything because the topic is an adult one. My mom even made a video about it yesterday because we didn't feel it was an appropriate topic for a child to speak about. But after hearing you go on camera and explain that Epstein wasn't into 8-year-olds, just the barely legal type like 15, I realized you might need an actual reality check from a literal child. So let me help you out. Megyn, people in my grade are turning 15 right now. Some of us still have baby faces. Some of us still have braces. Some of us still call our parents when we're scared at night. Some of us still look like middle schoolers because we basically are. And the fact that a grown woman needs a teenager to explain that is honestly terrifying. Here's the part you seem confused about. Under federal law, anyone under 18 is a child. No asterisk. No, but they hit puberty. No, older kids don't count. Anyone under 18 is a child. You said you were just giving facts, but here's the real fact. What you said wasn't factual. It was minimizing. It was making abuse sound like a technicality. And Megyn, here's the part you really need to hear. If a 14-year-old has to get on the internet and explain to a grown adult with national platform that children are children and there's no age where abuse suddenly becomes less bad, then the problem isn't confusion, it's corruption. Because kids my age aren't supposed to be the ones correcting you. We're not supposed to be the moral compass in a room full of adults who should have known better. But here we are. If my voice makes you uncomfortable, good, it should. Because the minute adults start defending predators by debating the age of a child, you're not protecting the truth. You're protecting the predator. And you shouldn't need a freshman to tell you that.
Look at the fucking replies under this. So, Gianna Maselli, legal fuckery with an American flag and blue check mark. She says, that's determined by geography. Go into the big cities and you'll find 15-year-olds that look 25. Wow. And look at this guy with this, like, several paragraphs to try and explain Megyn Kelly's take. Pretty bad, you guys. Let's see. Oh, shit. So, Uncle Authority says, for the record, simply by being responsible for 95% of the DPRK's food imports, China has done more for Palestine and African liberation struggles than anyone in this barrel of crackers could do in 500 lifetimes, even if they had an actual internationalist bone in their gelatinous mass. The oh-so-maligned Western leftists have done more for Palestine than China ever has. This is from Gaslighter_ on Twitter. Yeah, appropriate username. That's bullshit. Has Bolsonaro, the guy I was talking about earlier, who I follow and has these surprisingly disappointing takes. Find polemics. Let's see. Can I make this smaller? He says, I find polemics against the, quote, Western left less and less convincing as time continues to show the Western left is far more willing to stand up for Palestine than most of the, quote, global South. What are you fucking talking about, you moron? Like, what is Yemen? What has Yemen been doing? The Palestinian people have been telling people in the West to lay siege to Elbit systems, to do things to their government to influence them to actually stop the genocide. And what have Western leftists done? They question whether Palestinian people are terrorists or not. They question whether they should support, quote-unquote support, by posting things on the internet in favor of the resistance. That's an insane take, has Bolsonaro. Like, you should feel stupid and embarrassed for even posting that online. Holy shit. I gotta save this image. This is crazy. That's like one of the dumbest things I've ever seen someone say online. says, I remember when China's EV boom began, I asked whether battery waste would become a huge pollution problem. Back then, even ChatGPT told me China's hazardous material handling was already years ahead of what people assumed. Now China quietly hitting 90 to 95% metal recovery, full recycling chains, zero landfill processing. Meanwhile, some countries still fighting over paper straws.
In China, recycling scrapped vehicles is driving the country's circular economy. At a vehicle recycling plant in northwest China's Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, old auto parts are turned into reusable engines, with roughly $2.8 million worth exported last year. The waste steel from disassembled autos is then sent to a steelwork factory where it's transformed into metallurgical raw materials. The factory chairman said that after getting a technological upgrade, the plant's recycling rate has increased from 65% to 95%.
Compared with last year, our company's recycling business has grown by over 60%. Refined dismantling accounts for more than 80% of our total disassembly quantity, and the remanufacturing output has exceeded 7,000 units.
Besides recycling of vehicle steel, companies in China are also working to recycle vehicle batteries. Firms like Shenzhen-based GEM, a publicly listed company whose recycling system includes ultra-precise lithium extraction that can remove more than 90% of the metal from a battery.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff they got going on in China. Say it all the time. There were people who were like, again, flipping out about climate change. I think it was actually Bad Empanada who was like saying that even China is not doing anywhere near enough to combat climate change. It's like, they're one fucking country. They may be the most populous country, but it's still one fucking country. Like, the expectations and like the high level of just like the bar that they place on China, like, it's wild. And especially coming again from Westerners who are doing, in the grand scheme of things, fucking nothing. Literally nothing to influence their own actually imperialist governments. Their actual genocidal governments. Yeah, a lot of people are just having the wrong takes. It's crazy. Johnny Socialism says, watching supposed communists completely abandon Palestine over the UNSC vote is fucking depressing, and the cope around defending Russia or China's vote makes me want to vomit. Pathetic, dishonest, disgusting, and cowardly. Yeah, they're just analyzing it in terms of emotions. They just are angry, and they have to attack someone. And this is, like, incredibly useful. Like, I'm not going to just assume that this whole debate was sponsored by the CIA or, like, the deep state or anti-communists or whatever, but even if this just sprung up naturally, holy shit, is it really useful for dividing people who, like, actually might be on the left, like, in supporting actually existing anti-imperialist countries? It's a shame. Just grow, you guys. Just learn. Do I follow this guy? No, I do not. Somebody standing the infrared and ACP. They said, even before the formation of ACP and infrared, Haas and I had come to the conclusion that the vanguard of the new Western Nazism would not come from the normie conservatives, but from the socialist leftists, just like with historical Italian and German fascism. Look at how gullible they are regarding the UN votes by China. They have this ridiculous moral framework that real nations don't abide to. Once they have inevitably realized it, they view these countries as evil, and hence would be justified to embrace the U.S. hegemony fully, since they can do more, quote, compassionate harm reduction via voting, whether through a UN or a domestic, quote, liberal party, so they feel good about themselves. Meanwhile, a post-Trump multipolar world, which weakens Western political influence, would destroy the foundation of this circle-jerking theater of them being impactful in global politics, so they would align with the U.S. empire to destroy it, like many already do with Russia. While it's still disturbing to see this deranged, perverted degeneracy plays out in front of us, I'm glad we're vindicated. The ACP is the only American Communist Party which rejects this bizual mental illness and affirms the progressive role of China and Russia in their heroic struggle against the sanctimonious liberal unipolarity in the real world. There is no middle ground as the remaining facade get unmasked. Yeah, I mean, it's not entirely wrong. It just feels like the wrong way to go about it. Again, this feels more emotional than analytical, and the way that they have to like say that the ACP and like the infrared people are the only people with this take is wild. I have continually been on the internet with whatever other select few comrades I can find, but it sucks because there are these events like this. Like the whole war in Ukraine was a big dividing event for people who supported existing anti-imperialist countries, who supported multipolarity. It's like once Russia invaded, well then a whole bunch of fucking liberals decided, oh, I guess I just have to support Ukrainian neo-Nazis now because big country invaded little country, and that's their analysis of politics, and it's a shame. And so this is another event that's going to, unfortunately, give the ACP a bunch of like credit for having the correct take, but then they still are just bigots. They're just a bunch of fucking Strasserites. So this man is a Gen Xer. He realized a long time ago that there was going to be no retirement for him. Quote, I sold all the things that I had, cashed in my retirement, and purchased some land out here in Tennessee to live on. And now what I have to do is pay for permission to live on this land, buy permits, and I also have to pay taxes every year, whatever amount they decide, forever in this land of the free. Yeah, no shit, dude. You cannot homestead. You have to go somewhere really fucking far away if you actually want to get off the grid, you dumb fucking idiot. You live in the wrong system. You live under capitalism. You cannot just have property and then be left off the rat race. You can't just be alone to fend for yourself. You do not live in a free market. You're dumb. I can't believe you're surprised by this. I'm not going to listen to your fucking dumb audio, you idiot. Fucking morons. Like, libertarians are the dumbest fucking people. Something about the DNA from the Pharaoh Tutankhamun. Interesting. A few people have expressed the disappointment that Russia and China abstained from voting on the recent U.S. proposed Security Council resolution on post-war arrangements for Gaza. Such sentiments are understandable, as the resolution is clearly inadequate and fails to address the core issue of justice for the Palestinian people. Most importantly, as Fu Kong, China's ambassador to the UN, points out, the resolution, quote, does not demonstrate the fundamental principle of Palestinians governing Palestine. Nonetheless, a veto by China or Russia would have been counterproductive and would not have changed the reality on the ground. The alternative to the resolution was not sadly waving a magic wand and establishing a free Palestine. It was no resolution at all, which would have left the U.S. and its allies completely free to act without even a semblance of international oversight or accountability, which they will do anyway, because these things don't mean anything if they have no teeth behind them. These UN resolutions, the entire UN, does not fucking matter until they actually send in the, quote, peacekeeping forces, and then whatever they do is the thing that matters. Meanwhile, the resolution was supported by a majority of Arab and Islamic countries, including the State of Palestine and the 4 majority Muslim countries currently serving as non-permanent members of the Security Council: Algeria, Pakistan, Somalia, and Sierra Leone. As this piece points out, quote, for China or Russia to have exercised the veto would only have weakened their position vis-a-vis the Arab and Islamic nations and correspondingly further strengthened that of the United States. For 70 years since the Asian-African Conference in Bandung, China has worked tirelessly to build and maintain a global united front of newly independent and developing countries, despite the painful and difficult compromises this sometimes entails. Moreover, a Chinese or Russian veto on this occasion would have done nothing to materially deter the United States or Israel from proceeding with their plans. End quote. By abstaining, China and Russia have registered their disapproval of the resolution without undermining the broader international consensus or the possibility of a lasting peace. As Fu Kong put it, the decision was made in the light of, quote, the fragile and severe situation in Gaza, the imperative of maintaining the ceasefire, and the positions of the regional countries and Palestine. Yeah, again, like, could it possibly be that, like, the people who are professional diplomats in China and communists themselves might know a little bit more about what the socialist position of China should be on this issue than a bunch of fucking Western leftists who, again, are not doing a fucking thing other than dance party protests? What is autopilot? Another holy shit moment. Another person I don't follow, Chris Joseph, says, another holy shit moment. Autopilot was just referenced in a congressional hearing to ban members of Congress from trading stocks. So is Autopilot like a stock trading app that trades for you? 86% of Americans support this ban. Apps like Autopilot allow users to mirror the trading habits of certain members of Congress. But here's the part most still don't realize. 500 million is autopiloting Pelosi right now, making her bigger than most hedge funds. Her tracker has net 200+% in returns, creating millions in profits for everyday investors. Other politicians like Crenshaw, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Mullen have another 30 plus million autopiloting their trades too. Okay, so this autopilot program is something that just follows the trades of people like Nancy Pelosi because they have caught on that these are obviously insider traders, and if they just mimic their trades, they can make a bunch of money. Genius. Great idea. And now they want to ban this. When we started autopilot and the Tesla and the Pelosi tracker, our goal was simple. Expose the hypocrisy of politicians trading by building the first way for retail to trade alongside them. It's surreal to see autopilot sort of become a rallying cry to force Congress to stop being corrupt. And if the fact that literal politician portfolio trackers are larger than hedge funds doesn't prove the point, I don't know what will. Yeah, that's wild. Okay, so because they've put so much money behind these autopilot programs, because so many people have invested in that autopilot thing, it ends up making the size of these things bigger than hedge funds. Wild.
According to the Campaign Legal Center, 86% of Americans support prohibiting members of Congress from trading stocks altogether. Further, apps like Autopilot allow users to mirror the trading habits of certain members of Congress, building the perception that members are at a distinct advantage compared to everyone else. And this is backed up by some data. According to a 2024 report on data that is available, 46 members of Congress, amongst those who trade, outperformed the S&P 500 last year. 14 of those more than doubled that baseline. According to the Campaign Legal Center,
Cool stuff. If they don't ban it, probably a good idea to invest some money into it. This is not financial advice. J.V. Stalin on the personality cult of leaders, quote, I am absolutely against the publication of, quote, stories of the childhood of Stalin. The book abounds with a mass of inexactitudes of fact, of alterations, of exaggerations, and of unmerited praise. The important thing resides in the fact that the book has a tendency to engrave on the minds of Soviet children, and people in general, the personality cult of leaders, of infallible heroes. This is dangerous and detrimental. The theory of, quote, heroes and the crowd is not a Bolshevik, but a social revolutionary theory. I suggest we burn this book. Yeah, I think it was Prolspod who originally opened my mind to Stalin and the impression that people have of him just being like a brute, like this mobster who was not very intelligent. Read some of his writing. The guy was smart. The defender begged for mercy and at the destroyed stronghold. Drone operators from the, quote, Phobia squad of the Kuban battalion fighting on the Zaporizhia front are dismantling the positions of neo-Nazis. When a person comes out of a dugout and kneels, Russian UAV operators do not rush to attack him. The serviceman crosses himself, folds his hands in prayer, and begs for mercy, then tears off his insignia. As a result, under the watch of the drones, he moves towards our positions and surrenders, literally running. In the second part of the video, footage of strikes on the stronghold that forced the enemy to surrender. And the Ukrainian does not spare even civilians who cross themselves before the drone on their knees. It's mostly like a visual video. It's like some combat footage stuff. And then the Ukraine stands in the comments. There's literally hundreds of videos of Ukraine taking prisoners of war. LOL. What are you even talking about? And that's the great thing about it. Is like everyone's just got their own selective bubbles. All the NAFO stands are just watching pro-Ukraine footage. All the people who are like not under the spell of Western propaganda are seeing Russian media. And nobody can ever agree on what the situation is until the war is over. And then everyone will look like idiots for thinking Ukraine was going to win. EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas has openly called for trying to defeat Russia and split it into multiple new countries. This is why the Trump administration didn't consult with her on the U.S.-Russia plan to end the Ukraine proxy war. Because all this person is interested in are scenarios that would lead to World War III. The adults in the room, though they may have serious disagreements, have no time for the infantile, dangerous babbling of the multipolar world's island of irrelevancy known as the European Union. Yeah. I would negotiate for peace as soon as possible if I were Ukraine. Just saying. It's going to be very funny when they end up with the same peace deal that they would have gotten in week 1, except they now have like, I don't know, 1.5 million, 2 million less men. It's a shame. All for nothing. Arnaud Bertrand. I like Arnaud a lot. Arnaud says, we're on the edge of Europe's most humiliating moment in history. The White House is apparently about to achieve a comprehensive peace deal with Russia, which Kirill Dmitriev, the Russian negotiator, says is a, quote, much broader framework than just a ceasefire agreement. Basically saying, quote, how do we really bring finally lasting security to Europe, not just Ukraine? So in effect, it looks like this is an agreement which redraws the entire European security architecture. The thing, however, is that Europeans are not part of the discussions, and when asked about them, the White House replied, quote, "We don't really care about the Europeans." Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are waking up, ironically, like this week, to the fact that Europe is a vassal of the United States. All of Europe is a vassal of the United States Empire. If that's news to you, you should, I hope you're like 15, because I would feel bad for you if you were an adult and you didn't realize that. I actually looked into this for my August article, quote, "Not at the Table, Europe's Colonial Movement." The only comparable parallel I could find is the fall of Constantinople in 1453. But even this was a somewhat, quote, "classic military defeat, where the victor simply dictated terms." At the time, there wasn't another external power negotiating with the Ottomans about how to carve up Byzantine territory. Quote, or not a quote. It was at least a straightforward conquest. Don't misunderstand me. I'll be the first to applaud if the Ukraine war comes to an end. It was, as I have argued since day one of the most predictable and therefore one of the most avoidable wars in history. But, and this is a huge but, having your continent's security architecture redesigned without you sets a catastrophic precedent. It defines Europe as nothing more than geography to be bargained over by others. This is the natural consequence of decades of appalling strategic choices by Europeans, starting with the fundamental decision to outsource their security to NATO, effectively to Washington, rather than building genuine strategic autonomy. This shaped how Europe dealt with both Russia and Ukraine, following hawkish U.S. policy dictated by its own interest to keep Eurasia divided, quote, "divide and conquer," as opposed to Europe's own interest, which clearly lay in continental integration and stability. Now we see the wages of these choices, a continent whose opinion literally does not matter when its security is being negotiated. Source for the screenshot, this is politico.com/playbook. So we highlighted this section, and as for the rest of Europe, quote, "We don't really care about Europe, or about the Europeans," the official tells Dasha. "It's about Ukraine accepting." So, is this from, like, Red Scare? They're talking about Dasha? Oh, no. So here's how Dasha puts it on this morning's Playbook podcast, following conversations with the White House staff. Quote, "They feel that Ukraine is in the position right now, given the corruption scandals that have been plaguing Zelensky." Yeah, that was always going to come out sooner or later. Have you guys noticed the familiar pattern of Zelensky now being corrupt, and they will figure out, and suddenly, like, the media will suddenly notice all the problems around Zelensky and his presidency, whereas before he was just like a hero. He's just like this fucking war hero. Anyway, continuing here. So they feel that Ukraine is in the position right now, given the corruption scandals that have been plaguing Zelensky, given where the battle lines are at this moment, that Ukraine is in a position where they feel they can get them to accept this deal. They say it's reasonable. It's something that is, they believe, going to be palatable to Ukraine. We won't need to wait long to see if that's true. But this sounds ominous. Dmitriev, the Russian envoy, told Axios that he's optimistic because, quote, "We feel the Russian position is really being heard." And there's more. Dmitriev said the 28-point plan is more than just a ceasefire agreement. This is, he says, a proposal, quote, "to address the Ukraine conflict, but also how to restore U.S.-Russia ties and address Russia's security concerns. It's actually a much broader framework, basically saying, quote, how do we really bring finally lasting security to Europe, not just Ukraine?" Which sounds like a conversation Europe might like to be a part of. But anyway, very funny stuff. You love to see the Europeans getting what they deserve. Maybe you should have just negotiated for peace, like all the quote tankies were saying. Out of context communism. These are the funny stuff. There's a clip of Nick Fuentes says Marx, when interacting with a person 1% more leftist than him.
Syrian immigrant here. I know you said Islam spreading doesn't concern you because they make up a small number of the population, but look what happened to Europe. Anyone justifying this ideology's existence in the West, let alone its spread and takeover of government positions, is retarded and should be deported with them.
You should be deported. Syrian immigrant here. You should be deported. I love a Syrian comes here. Islam. Dude, you're an immigrant. Get out. Like, what? Oh my gosh. Yeah, how about we'll deport all of them with you?
Shapiro 5 skins sent $30. Syrian immigrant here.
Let's see. Hell yeah. See, other people are picking this up. Waz, smoker of cryptic weed on Twitter, says, one of the funniest tweets ever sent, by the way, and he's referring the one from Hez Bolsonaro, saying, "I find polemics against the Western left less and less convincing as time continues to show how the Western left is far more willing to stand up for Palestine than most of the, quote, global South." Yeah, that's fucking ridiculous. That is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen someone say. I can't believe he hit send on that shit. Like, how do you not feel self-conscious if you're saying the Western left has done more than the global South for Palestine. Like, what fucking world are you living in? You're Orientalist, a great account, got suggested to me by Sina Romani of The East is a Podcast. They said, the face when you hate China so much, you invent a Marvel Universe alternative timeline of history when the very forces who actively collude to colonize Palestine are hailed as the savior. Yeah. Also referencing that same Hezbollah Bolsonaro tweet. Yeah. This is one that's going to get legs. He's going to regret having tweeted that. That shit is dumb as fuck. Let's see the comments on it. Hold on. Somebody says, why is everyone against this? The PA supports this plan. Why does everyone want to use Palestinian lives as pawns for their own political gains? So it says, America has been committing a genocide against Muslims for my entire life through nation destabilization, and you have the gall to say, quote, we are the good guys compared to Russia and China when we have done nothing to stop it. Utterly disgusting. Yeah. He's getting torn apart correctly for this. Somebody says, isn't the Western left actively committing the genocide in Gaza by paying taxes? Yes. God, I'm going to have to follow some of these people because I need more actual good takes in my feed. So somebody says, there is a genre of internet leftists that thinks the average global South resident is like Che Guevara or some shit when most of them are actually super reactionary. It's not about their personal beliefs. It's about their material contributions, you fucking moron. That's what I mean. Like, liberals analyze everything in the terms of, like, everyone's personal character. They think if you live in the global South and you, like, maybe are homophobic, you are worse than someone who lives in the global North and is paying taxes for the genocide. Wild. Like, it's wild. I do love how I have to hit every button twice on computers and phones now because shit just is bad. Like, is everyone else experiencing that? Like, phones and computers, like, it doesn't matter if they're even new. Like, I have a phone that I've got 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it's already just, like, coming up with, like, random-ass errors. Like, apps are just, like, shitty all the time. Every update, new bugs. It finds, like, new and surprising ways to fuck up all the time. It's really wild. Who cares? Here's some people arguing over, this PhD is talking about their paper, the evolution of cooperation and division of labor in insects. We're not insects. We're not insects. We're not doing the Jordan Peterson, like, let's live like lobsters thing. So let's not do the Jordan Peterson or, like, the, Juliet F.R. Turner, let's live like bugs thing. Let's not live like bugs. Let's live like humans. Humans are cooperative. We don't need to prove that insects are cooperative. They do kind of prove that cooperation works better than individualism on their own, but, like, beyond that, what do you really need? I'm just shitting on this PhD for no reason. I'm sorry. I think it's just funny that people are arguing over that shit on Twitter. It's like, just build a fucking Vanguard. So Brian Allen Analysis on Twitter says, Maria Farmer tried to stop this decades ago, twice. She reported Epstein and Donald Trump to the FBI in 1996. The agent literally guessed Trump's name just from her description of, quote, a cheesy New York businessman. They still ignored her. She reported them again in 2006. They ignored her again. So, a decade apart, she tried twice and they did nothing. Now the same man she says was, quote, very much a part of it, is fighting the release of the Epstein files, and for the first time, even his own base is cracking. One woman told the truth. The entire system chose to protect power. All right, let's listen to Maria Farmer here.
Contacting the FBI in 1996 and documenting it in her diary at the time.
And I just remember trying to explain to this man at the FBI that children are in severe danger. And so I told him, I said, listen, I'm calling to report an international pedophile and child porn ring. This is a federal crime.
And it wasn't only Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell she mentioned.
I said, and there's this businessman. I said, he's kind of cheesy. And I said, I can't remember if I described him as a game show host or used car salesman or something like that. But I said, he's a prominent businessman. He's a New York fixture. And they said, oh, Donald Trump. The FBI guessed, based on that brief description, that I was discussing Donald Trump.
Her complaint wasn't taken seriously then or in 2006 when she repeated her allegations to federal authorities. who were finally investigating Jeffrey Epstein. So when President Trump vowed to get to the bottom of the Epstein saga, Maria was cynical.
I reported him because I knew he was part of this gang. I didn't know on what level. I just knew that he was very much a part of it.
And as you'll see, the president's reluctance to be transparent has, for the first time, turned his supporters against him.
So what's that, like the Australian version of 60 Minutes? Wild. Yeah, I mean, people have been saying, like, the feud with Elon was going to, like, divide Trump's base. Did that happen? That his support for immigration and H-1B visas was going to divide his base and fracture it. Did that happen? They're all saying that, like, this Epstein thing is going to, like, destroy his base. You guys are clearly dumb. Like, you do not know what reality you are living in. Nothing can destroy the Trump base. Like, he'd have to intentionally try to do it. I did find it funny when Alexander Dugin said that the best thing Trump could do for the MAGA base is suicide. That was really funny. Pretty funny. Yeah, all these people love to criticize China again without doing anything. Somebody says, even when they have, Rocco64 _ says, even when they have a real potential criticism of China on their hands, they fall back to this fucking nothing burger. Why? And somebody responds to that saying, being Israel's second largest trading partner is a nothing burger? You seem constantly beat by your own record for the dumbest posts. It is a nothing burger. They're like the second largest country, or I mean like the largest country by population, but the second largest by GDP. So it would make sense that they are the second largest trading partner of Israel. Again, stop personifying countries. Somebody said in the chat, AEMN Photography said China doesn't care about Palestine. You're dumb. You are a dumb shitlib. You are personifying an entire country of 1.5 billion people with the character of a person, as if it's like an emotional struggle that China is waging because they morally support or don't support Palestine. It's fucking business. Like, everybody's crying that like, countries are using Palestine as like a political tool. What do you think politics is? What fucking world do you think you're living in? Like, that's how politics works. You can get mad at it all you want, but you're not changing it. You are not changing it by whining. You are not changing it by not engaging in it at the level that it is actually being done. If you wanted to, you could form some kind of internationalist political party that has some kind of militant force or even had just diplomatic political force, but you have not done that. You have chosen to stay and whine on Twitter. And again, all that effort could have been used to build some kind of real internationalist workers' party that has like a political influence somewhere in any country or even better in the international bodies. But again, that has not happened. So the best thing you do have is the anti-imperialist bloc doing what they're doing. So you can complain, but you really look silly when you're doing it, considering that you are not doing anything. And I know that's the criticism that people like to level at me for having a meme page, but like, I am a commentator. I am very self-aware that I am a propagandist. I am commentating online. I'm not an activist. I'm not a revolutionary. I've never claimed to be. And it's so funny watching all these people who think that they are the revolutionaries because they went to a protest once or twice or donated some stuff to some homeless people. You're a fucking joke. You're a fucking joke. Did somebody else say the same thing? The also maligned Western leftists have done more for Palestine than China ever? Yeah. So Gaslight _ that one that I read and already forgot about. Saying the same thing as Hez Bolsonaro, just as embarrassingly. Very funny stuff. How China is quietly aiding Israel's settlement enterprise. Let me guess. They're just selling them stuff. Yeah, Chinese firms. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you would like it if the Chinese Communist Party regulated those firms out of existence, but I don't know, join the Communist Party. Move there. Try to influence it. Try to drive it in that direction if you don't like it. Whatever. All right, guys, I'm actually going to wrap it up for the day. I'm finished with my tea. I've hit an hour. So, yeah. I will try to do this again maybe tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Friday? I think I should have some time tomorrow. Please unfollow and block me if you support China. If you still support China and Russia. Yeah, we'll do. We'll do that. Let's see. Well, I wasn't following them, but I will definitely block you. See, I agree with this guy. That's how you should use social media. I understand that everyone is mostly using social media for its intended purpose, which is to build their personal brand and become some kind of internet micro-celebrity and then try to monetize. But I hope you guys understand, with the way I keep repeating it over and over again, that I'm using it for a different thing. I'm trying to tell people about Marxism, Leninism, multipolarity, geopolitical issues that are actually important, and what they could be doing if they actually wanted to affect those things in any way whatsoever. But that does not look like mutual aid and protest. Does not look like any of the current parties or orgs that you have. All right, you guys. I'll see you again tomorrow. Later.